Chosen one, look at them now. The same people who laughed when your name came up, the same people who spread the rumors, the same people who sat back and let you get torn apart. They're defending you now, loudly, publicly, like their own life depends on it. And chosen one, it does. Nobody predicted this, not even you. A few months ago, these were the people rolling their eyes at your name, cutting you out of rooms, whispering behind your back like it cost them nothing. Now watch them. Watch how fast they jump to correct anyone who says a bad word about you. Watch how nervous they get when your name comes up in a conversation they can't control. That's not loyalty. That's not guilt either. That's survival instinct kicking in because they finally understood something. Karma isn't coming. Karma arrived. And it's not asking who deserves mercy. Here's what you need to sit with before we go any further. They didn't wake up one day and grow a conscience. Conscience doesn't work that fast. What happened is simpler and colder than that. Somewhere, something shifted. Some piece of the truth surfaced that they couldn't control anymore. And suddenly, protecting you became the only way left to protect themselves. That's the whole story in one sentence. Their defense of you isn't about you at all. It's about what happens to them if they don't. You spent a long time being the one people threw under the bus to make themselves look better. You spent a long time watching people who claimed to care about you say nothing, while your name got dragged through rooms you weren't even in. You stayed quiet through all of it, not because you didn't notice, because you were watching too. And while you were watching, so was something bigger than any of them. Bigger than their opinions, bigger than their group chats, bigger than every careless word they thought would never catch up to them. Think about how confident they were back then, how easy it felt for them to say what they said, knowing, or believing, that nobody would ever hold them to it. That confidence is gone now, and it didn't leave quietly. It left the way confidence always leaves people who built it on a lie, all at once, in front of everyone who used to believe them. Before we go deeper into exactly how this flipped and why their time really is up, hit that like button and subscribe. Not for me, for the message. Every like is what pushes this truth to the next chosen one who needs to hear it before their own storm hits, before their own name gets dragged the way yours was, before they even know they need to hear this. Now let's get into it, because what's happening to them right now isn't random, and once you see the pattern, you'll never unsee it. If you feel this pulling at something real in you, drop a 77 in the comments right now, so I know you're locked in for what's coming. This is going to move fast, and it's going to hit close. Stay with me, because by the end of this, you're going to understand exactly why their time is up, and why karma has never once made an exception for anyone. What you're about to hear isn't a list of coincidences. It's a pattern, and once you see how each piece connects to the next, you'll understand exactly why every single one of them is behaving this way at exactly the same time. This isn't several unrelated people changing their minds. This is one truth moving through a group of people who all know the same thing, in the same order they once used to spread the lie. Number 1. The group chat that mocked you has gone dead silent, and they're deleting the evidence. There was a group chat. There's always a group chat. A place where your name got tossed around like nothing, where jokes got made at your expense, where people typed things about you they'd never say to your face. You didn't need to see it to know it existed. You could feel it in the way certain people looked at you differently, laughed a half-second too late, went quiet when you walked in. That chat was real, chosen one, and for a long time it felt untouchable. It felt safe. It felt like a place where they could say anything, and it would just disappear into the scroll, buried under 100 other conversations, never seen, never proven, never paid for. That chat isn't safe anymore. Somewhere along the way, something leaked. A screenshot got forwarded to the wrong person. A message got read out loud by someone who wasn't supposed to see it. A name got mentioned in front of someone who actually mattered. And once that happened, the whole thing cracked open. Suddenly the people who spent months typing careless, cruel things about you were staring at their own words on someone else's screen, and there was no scrolling past it this time. Watch what happens next, because this is where it gets interesting. They don't apologize to your face. That would mean admitting it happened. Instead, they go quiet, dead quiet. The chat that used to be active every hour of the day suddenly goes cold. Messages get deleted one by one, carefully, like removing fingerprints from a scene. Some of them leave the group entirely and pretend they were barely in it. Some of them start typing nice things about you in other places, loudly, publicly, hoping it cancels out what's sitting in that thread. But here's what they don't understand. Deleting a message doesn't delete what someone already saw. And once someone has seen it, they don't forget it just because the evidence disappeared. If anything, the deleting makes it worse. It confirms exactly what everyone already suspected. They knew what they said was wrong. They knew it the whole time. That's why they're scrambling now to erase it instead of standing behind it. Imagine a chat window slowly emptying out, one bubble at a time. At 2 in the morning, someone's thumb hovering nervously over the delete button, checking who's seen what, hoping nobody screenshotted it first. That's not peace of mind. That's panic dressed up as tidiness. And panic like that doesn't stay contained to one phone. It spreads to every person in that thread the second one of them starts asking, who else still has copies? You never had to expose that chat. You never had to go looking for it, screenshot it, share it, prove anything. You just had to keep being exactly who you were while they thought no one was watching. And someone was. Someone always is. That's the part they never plan for. They think cruelty is safe as long as it's private. It was never private. It was just unwitnessed for a while. Now the silence in that chat is louder than anything that was ever typed in it. And every time your name comes up somewhere else now, in a room, in a comment section, in a conversation you're not even part of, watch who jumps in first to defend you. Watch who suddenly has the most to say about how wrong people are to talk about you. It's them. It's always them. Because silence used to be their weapon, and now it's their alibi, and deep down, they know it's not going to hold. Ask yourself why they never worried about being seen before. Simple. They believed you were the only one who'd ever have to live with the consequences of that chat. They never imagined it could turn around and cost them the exact thing they were laughing about you losing. That's the part that's eating at them now, quietly, behind every hurried delete and every carefully worded public comment. Number 2. The one who started it is the one groveling loudest now. Every story like this has an origin point. One person who said the first cruel thing, planted the first seed of doubt, started the whole avalanche that everyone else just piled onto. You probably already know who that person is for you. You don't need me to say it. You felt it the moment it started. That small shift where one comment from one person suddenly gave everyone else permission to pile on too. That person is the loudest one defending you right now. Not the quiet ones who just went along with it. Not the bystanders who stayed neutral. The actual origin point. The one who lit the match. And chosen one, that's not an accident. And it's not a coincidence either. Here's why. The person who started it has the most to lose if the truth ever gets fully unpacked. Everyone else can claim they were just following along, just repeating what they heard, just caught up in something bigger than them. That excuse doesn't exist for the one who started it. If this ever gets traced back to its source, there's no crowd to hide in. There's just them, standing alone, holding the thing they started. So watch how hard they're working right now to rewrite their own role in the story. Watch how they've suddenly become your biggest advocate, correcting anyone who says a bad word, telling people they always knew you were misunderstood, acting like they were secretly on your side the entire time. It's almost impressive how fast the rewrite happened. Almost. Ask yourself something honest for a second. Would that person be defending you this hard right now if nobody had ever found out what they started? You already know the answer. Silence was their comfort zone until silence stopped being safe. The loudest defenders are almost always the ones with the most to hide, because the volume is doing a job the truth alone never could. But rewriting history doesn't erase who wrote the first draft. Everyone who was actually there remembers how it started and who started it. And that person knows it too, which is exactly why they're overcompensating so hard right now. Overcorrection is a confession. Nobody defends you this loudly, this suddenly, this publicly, unless some part of them is terrified of what happens if they don't. You don't owe them a reaction. You don't need to call it out, expose it, or remind anyone who started what. The people who matter already remember, and the ones who don't remember will figure it out eventually, because people like that always slip. They always let a detail out that doesn't match their new story. The truth has a way of resurfacing exactly when someone gets too comfortable pretending it never happened. Let them defend you loudly now. Let them post the kind words, the public support, the sudden loyalty. It doesn't undo what they started. It just proves how much weight that beginning still carries. Even now, even after everything. Karma didn't forget who lit the match. It just waited until the fire reached them too. There's a strange kind of loneliness in being the person who started something everyone else got to walk away from clean. That's the position they're standing in right now, whether they admit it to themselves or not. Everyone else can blend back into the crowd. They can't. They're the name attached to the beginning, and beginnings are the hardest thing in any story to rewrite convincingly. Number 3, they're not protecting you, they're protecting themselves from what's coming. Let's be honest about what's actually happening here, chosen one, because there's a version of this story where it sounds sweet, almost redemptive, like people finally saw the light and decided to do right by you. That is not what this is. What this is self-preservation dressed up as loyalty. Somewhere in the last few weeks, something shifted in a way that made continuing to attack you a genuinely bad idea for them. Maybe someone important started paying attention. Maybe the tide of public opinion turned. Maybe consequences that used to feel theoretical suddenly started feeling real. Whatever the trigger was, it made one thing very clear to them. Staying on the wrong side of your name is no longer safe. So they flipped, fast. And they're calling it growth, calling it maturity, calling it finally seeing the truth. But watch the timing. If this were real growth, it would have happened quietly, privately, without an audience, back when there was nothing to gain from it. Real change doesn't wait for the winds to shift in your favor before it shows up. Real change doesn't need witnesses. What you're watching instead is a room full of people doing damage control in real time. They're not defending you because they finally respect you. They're defending you because they've done the math and realized that being caught on the wrong side of this is about to cost them something they actually care about losing. Their reputation, their standing, their comfort. That's what they're protecting. You're just the vehicle they're using to protect it. Picture someone standing in a burning room, grabbing the nearest fire extinguisher, not because they suddenly care about the room, but because they're standing in it too. That's what this defense looks like up close. Necessity wearing the mask of virtue. Take the fire away and watch how fast the extinguisher goes back on the shelf. And here's the part that should sit with you the longest. You don't need their protection anymore. You survived every version of them that came before this one. You survived the silence, the mockery, the exclusion, the group chats, all of it, without their defense, without their loyalty, without a single one of them standing up when it actually mattered. So their sudden willingness to stand up now isn't rescuing you from anything. You already rescued yourself. Let them keep defending you if that's what keeps them comfortable. It costs you nothing. But don't confuse their fear for your redemption story. Your redemption story already happened, quietly, while they were still busy laughing. This part, the part where they scramble to get on the right side of history, that's their story now. Their reckoning, their time running out. You're just standing in the room, watching it happen, the same way you stood in the room, watching everything else. You might ask yourself why it even matters, since the outcome looks the same either way. People saying kind things about you instead of cruel ones. It matters because motive determines durability. Something built out of respect holds up when it's tested again. Something built out of fear collapses the second the fear moves somewhere else. Watch which one you're actually looking at before you decide how much weight to give it. Number 4. Every lie they told is now a debt with interest attached. Lies don't disappear once they're told. People think they do. They think a lie has a shelf life, that if enough time passes, if enough other things happen, the lie just fades into background noise and nobody remembers who said what. That is one of the most comforting delusions a liar can have, and it's completely wrong. Every lie they told about you got recorded somewhere. Not in some mystical cosmic ledger, chosen one, in something much simpler than that. In memory, in screenshots. In the minds of people who were paying closer attention than the liars ever gave them credit for. Lies accumulate like debt, quietly, invisibly, until one day the bill comes due all at once, and it always comes due with interest. That's what's happening now. The lies they told didn't just cost you something when they were told, they're costing them something now, at compound rates, because the longer a lie survives before it collapses, the more damage it does when it finally does collapse. A lie that gets caught in a week is a mistake. A lie that survives for a year before it unravels is a pattern. And people don't forgive patterns the way they forgive mistakes. Watch how carefully they're choosing their words about you now. Watch how they've stopped repeating the old stories, how certain claims they used to throw around casually have just quietly vanished from the conversation. That's not them being classy. That's them realizing those specific lies are the ones most likely to come back around, and they're trying to bury them before anyone asks for the receipts. Think of it like a loan nobody remembers signing until the collector shows up at the door. They spent the money a long time ago, on laughs, on attention, on feeling powerful for a moment at your expense. They never planned to pay it back, because they never thought they'd have to. Debts collected are still debts owed, and the longer they went unpaid, the more they were quietly compounding in the background the entire time. But debts don't disappear because the debtor stops mentioning them. Somewhere, someone still remembers exactly what was said, when it was said, and who said it. And when the full account finally comes due, and it will, the interest they'll be paying isn't measured in apologies. It's measured in trust that doesn't come back, doors that don't reopen, and a reputation that never quite recovers its original shine, no matter how loudly they defend you now. You don't need to collect that debt yourself. You never did. That was never your job. Your job was just to survive long enough to watch the bill arrive on its own. And chosen one, it's arriving. Notice how some of them are already trying to renegotiate the terms, softening what they said into misunderstandings, calling cruelty a joke that landed wrong, calling deliberate exclusion an accident of scheduling. That's not repayment. That's an attempt to shrink the debt after the fact. And debts don't shrink just because the person who owes them found a gentler word for what they did. Number 5. Watching the same people who buried you now dig you out. There's a particular kind of poetic justice in watching someone try to undo the exact thing they built. The same hands that spread the rumors, are the ones now typing corrections. The same mouths that stayed silent while you were being torn apart are the ones now speaking up the loudest in your defense. The same people who buried your name under gossip and half-truths are the ones frantically digging you back out, one shovel of forced compliments at a time. It's almost funny if you let yourself see it that way. Almost. Because underneath the humor of it is something a lot more serious. What it actually proves is that they always had the power to do this. They could have defended you back when it actually would have meant something, back when you were still in the middle of it, back when a single person standing up for you might have changed the entire outcome. They had that power the whole time. They just chose not to use it, because back then it cost them something to use it, and they weren't willing to pay that price. Now it costs them more not to use it, so suddenly they've found their courage. Suddenly they're capable of speaking up, correcting the record, standing on your side of the room. Notice that the courage only appeared once it became convenient. That tells you everything about what kind of courage it actually is. Ask yourself where that same energy was 6 months ago, a year ago, back when you needed one person, just one, to say something true in a room full of people saying something false. Nobody raised their hand then. Everyone's raising it now, and everyone raising it now knows exactly why they didn't raise it before. You watched people bury you when it was easy for them. Now you get to watch them dig you back out, because it's easier than the alternative. Let that sit exactly where it belongs. Not as forgiveness, not as trust, just as information. Information about exactly how much their support is worth, and exactly what it took to get it. And here's the detail that should stay with you longest. The effort they're putting into digging you out right now is a fraction of the effort it would have taken to simply never bury you in the first place. They're working harder now, under pressure, in public, to undo damage than it would have cost them to just stay quiet back then. That imbalance tells you everything about how little thought they gave you the first time around. Number 6. The apology tour nobody invited them to. You've probably noticed it by now. People reaching out who never reached out before. Messages showing up in your inbox from names you haven't heard from in a long time, all suddenly warm, all suddenly nostalgic, all suddenly acting like the distance between you was just circumstance and not something they actively created. This is the apology tour, chosen one, and nobody invited them on it. They booked their own ticket the second they realized silence wasn't safe anymore either. Notice the shape of these apologies too, because the shape tells you everything. They're rarely direct, rarely specific, rarely, "I did this and I'm sorry for it." Instead, they're vague, soft focus, easy to walk back if they need to. "I always cared about you. I hope you know I never meant any harm. Things got out of hand, and I wish I'd said something." Notice what's missing from every one of those sentences. An actual admission, an actual name for what they did, an actual accounting of the specific moment they chose comfort over standing beside you. That's not an apology. That's a liability shield with soft language wrapped around it. It's designed to get them back in your good graces without requiring them to actually sit in the discomfort of what they did. And the frustrating thing is, most people accept apologies shaped like that all the time, because saying no feels harder than saying it's fine. Picture a tour bus pulling up outside a house that never asked for visitors, unloading polite smiles and vague regrets, and driving off the second the applause doesn't come as expected. That's what half of these messages are. A performance for an audience of one that never asked for the show, and a performance that stops the second it stops getting the reaction they were hoping for. You don't have to accept a tour you didn't sign up for. You don't owe anyone a warm welcome back into your life just because they finally noticed the exit sign was starting to matter. Let them apologize into the void if that's what they need to do to feel better about themselves. That's their process, not your obligation. Your only job here is to notice the difference between someone genuinely reckoning with what they did and someone doing crowd control before the story gets any bigger than it already is. Notice, too, how many of these messages arrive with a request buried inside them, a soft ask for reassurance, for a reply that says it's okay, for something that lets them feel like the account is settled. A real apology doesn't come looking for relief. It comes prepared to sit in the discomfort for as long as it takes, without needing anything back in return. Number 7. Karma doesn't forget a name. It just waits for the right moment to say it. People misunderstand karma constantly, chosen one. They think of it like some kind of instant vending machine. Wrongdoing goes in, punishment comes out immediately, and if it doesn't happen right away, they assume it's not coming at all. That's not how it works, and it never has been. Karma isn't fast. Karma is patient, and patient is a lot more dangerous than fast, because patient means it's still coming, even after everyone thinks it forgot. For a long time, it probably looked like the people who hurt you were getting away with it completely clean. No consequences, no accountability, just them, moving on with their lives while you carried the weight of what they did. That's the part that makes patience so hard to trust. It looks for a while exactly like nothing is going to happen. But karma was never confused about who did what. It doesn't lose the file, it doesn't forget the name, it just waits until the timing actually means something, until the moment when the consequence will land the hardest, until the exact second it can't be dismissed as coincidence anymore. And that's exactly the moment we're watching unfold right now. The same names that got away clean for months are the ones suddenly scrambling, suddenly nervous, suddenly working overtime to be seen on the right side of your story. Think of it like a river that looks completely still on the surface, while something underneath keeps moving toward exactly where it's supposed to go. Nobody sees the current. Everybody sees the moment it finally reaches the shore, and by then, it's too late to pretend the current was never there at all. That's not random timing. That's karma, choosing its moment the way it always does, quietly, patiently, and then all at once. You didn't have to remind anyone what they did. You didn't have to keep score out loud. You just had to keep living your life honestly while they kept living theirs the way they always had. And eventually, the gap between those two paths became too obvious to ignore. That gap is what's catching up to them now. And it's not finished yet. You might have spent nights wondering why nothing seemed to happen to them, why they kept moving through the world untouched while you carried the weight alone. That waiting was never wasted, chosen one. It was the current doing its slow, invisible work, moving toward the shore on a schedule nobody but time itself ever controls. Number 8. The friends who stayed quiet are now the loudest cheerleaders. There's a specific kind of person in this story who's easy to overlook, because they never actually attacked you. They just stood there, said nothing while others talked, laughed along just enough to not seem like they were breaking rank, never defended you, never joined in fully either, just occupied that gray, deniable middle ground where they could tell themselves later that they never really did anything wrong. Those are the people cheering loudest for you right now. And it makes sense if you think about it, because silence like that is the easiest thing in the world to rewrite into something noble after the fact. I never said a bad word about you. True, technically. Also true that they never said a good word either. Not once. Not when it would have actually mattered. Not when standing next to you would have cost them a seat at the table with the people who were tearing you down. Now that standing next to you costs nothing, or better yet, actually earns them something socially, they've found their voice. Loudly, publicly, with enthusiasm that somehow never showed up back when you actually needed it. Notice how easily silence gets reclassified as neutrality once the story flips in your favor. Neutrality was never neutral. It just wore a more comfortable name for a while. And now that the wind has changed, that same name gets rebranded again, this time as loyalty. You're allowed to notice this without making it a confrontation. You're allowed to accept their support now, while remembering exactly how absent it was then. Those two things aren't contradictory. People get to change, and you get to remember. Both of those are true at the same time, and neither one cancels the other out. The friends who found their courage late still found it. Just make sure you know the difference between someone who grew and someone who simply followed the winning side once it became obvious which side was winning. A real friend doesn't need the room to already be safe before they'll stand in it with you. That's the test that quietly separates the two groups now standing on your side. One group passed it a long time ago, in private, when nobody was watching and nothing was gained. The other group is only just now showing up to take the exam, well after the results were already public. Number 9. Their sudden kindness isn't loyalty. It's fear wearing a nice outfit. Kindness that only shows up once it's safe isn't really kindness at all, chosen one. It's strategy. And the tricky part is that strategy can look identical to genuine care on the surface. The words sound the same, the gestures look the same. A compliment is a compliment whether it comes from love or from fear. But the source matters more than people want to admit, because the source determines whether that kindness holds up the next time things get uncomfortable. Real loyalty gets tested in the hard moments and survives them. Fear-based kindness only exists in the easy moments, the safe moments, the moments where being kind to you doesn't cost anything and might actually pay off socially. The second the wind shifts again, the second defending you stops being convenient, watch how fast that kindness disappears. That's the tell. That's always been the tell. Imagine two people offering you the exact same compliment, one because they mean it, one because they need to be seen saying it. From the outside, they look identical. But give it time. Give it one uncomfortable moment where standing beside you costs something again, and only one of them stays standing there, while the other one quietly finds a reason to be somewhere else. You don't have to reject the kindness they're offering now. Take it if it's useful to you. Just don't mistake it for something it isn't. Fear wearing a nice outfit is still fear underneath, and outfits come off the moment they're no longer needed. Keep your expectations calibrated to what you've actually witnessed from these people, not to what they're performing right now while the spotlight happens to be pointed in your direction. The clearest way to tell the difference is simple, even if it's uncomfortable to apply. Ask what it would cost them to keep standing beside you if the story quietly reversed again tomorrow. If the honest answer is that they'd disappear the second it stopped being safe, you already have your answer about what today's kindness actually is. Dear chosen ones, before we go further, if this message is landing somewhere real in you, the super thanks button on your screen is one way to keep this mission alive. Every bit of support means more of these truths reach the next person standing exactly where you were standing not long ago. Now, back to it, because this next part is where everything really starts to click. Number 10. Every domino they knock down is now falling back on them one by one. Think about how this whole thing started. One comment, one rumor, one person deciding it was fine to say something about you that wasn't true, or wasn't kind, or wasn't theirs to say at all. That one action didn't stay contained. It knocked into the next person, who repeated it, who knocked into the next, who added their own version, and on, until an entire structure of gossip and exclusion was standing there, built entirely out of dominoes they set up themselves, without ever thinking about what happens when the last one falls. They never planned for the reverse. They set the dominoes up, pointing away from themselves, aimed entirely at you, confident the whole chain would stay pointed in that one direction forever. But dominoes don't actually work like that, once something interrupts the pattern. Sometimes the chain hits a wall and bounces back. Sometimes the truth surfaces in a way that reverses the entire direction of the fall. And once it starts falling backward, it moves through the same people just as fast as it moved through you, in the same order, hitting the same names. That's what you're watching now. The people who set this whole thing in motion are watching their own structure collapse back onto them, piece by piece. And there's nothing they can do to stop a chain reaction once it's already moving. They built this. Every domino was theirs. And now every domino is falling exactly where it was always going to fall eventually. Back on the builders. Watch closely, and you'll start to notice who's trying to step out of the chain entirely, distancing themselves from names they used to stand shoulder to shoulder with, hoping distance now erases proximity then. It doesn't. A domino doesn't get to unfall just because it wishes it had been standing somewhere else. Position matters. And they positioned themselves exactly where they are right now, a long time before any of this started collapsing, one careless comment at a time. Some of them are already turning on each other, quietly blaming the person standing next to them in the chain, hoping to look like the domino that fell last, instead of the one that fell first. There's no honor among people who built something out of someone else's pain. The moment it starts costing them, they'll point fingers at anyone standing close enough to take the fall in their place. Number 11. The mirror they can't stop looking into. Here's something that's happening to them right now that they'll never say out loud. Every time they defend you publicly, every time they correct someone talking badly about you, every time they post something kind about your name, they're forced to look directly at the version of themselves that did the opposite not that long ago. That's the part nobody talks about when people flip like this. The defense isn't just about protecting their image going forward. It's a mirror they can't stop looking into, whether they want to or not. Every kind word about you is an unspoken confession about the unkind version of themselves that existed before it. They can't defend you now without implicitly admitting there was something worth defending you against in the first place. That contradiction doesn't just disappear because they're being nice this week. It sits there, underneath every public gesture of support, quietly reminding them of exactly who they were when it counted. Imagine standing in front of a mirror you can't turn away from, one that shows not what you look like now, but what you looked like the day you chose silence over standing up. That's the mirror they're carrying with them into every kind comment they leave under your name. And mirrors like that don't get put away just because someone decided to stop looking directly at them. You don't have to point that out to them. You don't have to say a word about it. The mirror is doing that work all on its own, every single day, every time your name comes up, and they feel that small flicker of discomfort they can't quite explain to anyone else. That discomfort is real, it's earned, and it's not going anywhere just because they've decided to be loud about supporting you now. Some of them will try to avoid the mirror altogether, changing the subject fast whenever your name gets close to the conversation, laughing a little too quickly to move past it. Watch for that too. Avoidance is just another shape guilt takes when it isn't ready to be looked at directly yet. There's no version of this where they get to have both. The comfort of having said something once and the comfort of never having to think about it again. The mirror doesn't work that way. Every kind word brought them a temporary sense of resolution and a permanent reminder of exactly why that resolution was necessary in the first place. Number 12. Why silence was never weakness. It was the trial they didn't know they were losing. They thought your silence meant you had nothing to say. They thought it meant you'd accepted their version of the story, that you were too hurt, or too small, or too outmatched to push back. That's what silence looked like to them, because that's the only thing silence has ever meant to people who use noise as their only tool. But your silence was never surrender, chosen one. It was patience with teeth. While they were busy talking, performing, spreading their version loudly enough to drown out anything you might have said. You were doing something they never accounted for. You were living honestly, consistently, without contradiction, and that consistency became its own kind of evidence, quiet, undeniable, accumulating in the background the entire time they thought they'd already won. That's the trial they didn't know they were losing. There was never a courtroom, never a formal accusation, never a moment where anyone stood up and declared a verdict. There didn't need to be. The evidence built itself, day after day, in the gap between what they said about you and what actually turned out to be true. And now that gap has gotten wide enough that even the people who wanted to believe their version can't ignore it anymore. Think of it like a case built entirely on patterns instead of confessions, one honest day stacked on top of another, until the pattern became impossible to argue with. That's a stronger case than any single dramatic moment could have ever made. Consistency convicted them, not confrontation. Nobody had to make a speech. The evidence simply kept showing up, day after day, until it outweighed everything they'd said about you. You didn't lose anything by staying quiet. You were never the one on trial. You just let the trial run its course without interrupting it, and the verdict came in exactly the way honesty always eventually does. Late, but total. And a verdict that arrives late still counts. It just took longer to reach the people who needed to hear it most. There's a reason that kind of verdict feels different from a shouting match settled in the moment. It doesn't get argued with. Nobody stands up afterward and says the jury got it wrong, because there was no jury, only time. And time doesn't negotiate once it's finished making up its mind. Number 13. The moment they realized protecting you was the only way to protect themselves. There's a specific moment buried somewhere in the last few weeks, one you probably didn't witness directly, where this whole thing turned. Somewhere, someone connected to this story realized that continuing to stand against you was no longer the safe position. Maybe it was a conversation. Maybe it was watching someone else get called out first and realizing they could be next. Maybe it was simply the slow accumulation of pressure finally reaching a breaking point. Whatever it was, that moment changed the entire calculation for everyone involved. Once one person flips, the rest follow fast, because nobody wants to be the last one still standing on the wrong side once the tide has clearly turned. That's not loyalty spreading, that's fear spreading, moving through a group the same way the original rumors once did, except this time it's moving in your favor instead of against you. You didn't cause that moment directly. You didn't need to. You just kept existing, kept being exactly who you always were, and let the inconsistency between their story and your reality do the work on its own timeline. And once that inconsistency became impossible to ignore, protecting you stopped being an act of kindness and became an act of self-preservation for every single one of them. That's not a compliment to you. It's a confession from them, whether they realize it or not. Watch how quickly the group realigns once the first domino falls their way, instead of yours. It happens fast, faster than any of the original attacks ever spread, because self-preservation always moves quicker than cruelty does. Cruelty can afford to take its time. Fear can't. And that difference in speed is exactly why the flip looks so sudden, even though the pressure had been building for a while. What's happening underneath all of it is simple. They're not protecting a friendship. They're protecting a future where they're not the person known for what they did to you. That future matters more to them right now than any real reckoning with the past ever will. And that's exactly why their defense of you, loud as it is, still isn't the same thing as remorse. Number 14. The ones still watching from a distance, waiting to see which way it lands. Not everyone has flipped yet, chosen one, and that's worth naming too. There's a smaller group still standing off to the side, not defending you, not attacking you either, just watching, calculating, waiting to see which direction the wind settles before they commit to anything. These are the most careful ones, the most calculated ones. They learned something from watching the first wave move too early or too clumsily, and now they're studying the situation like a chessboard before they make their move. Don't mistake their silence for neutrality any more than you mistook it the first time. This is the same game with better timing. They're not undecided about what's true. They already know. They're just waiting for the exact moment where committing publicly costs the least and gains the most, running the numbers quietly in the background while everyone else scrambles. You'll know them when they finally move, because their support will arrive polished, well-timed, and completely free of anything that could be traced back to an actual mistake on their part. No apology required, because in their retelling, they were never really involved at all. Just present, just nearby. Just, coincidentally, never quite saying the wrong thing out loud, which somehow never stopped them from laughing along when everyone else did. That kind of caution isn't wisdom, it's just cowardice with better planning. And chosen one, karma sees the ones who move fast and the ones who wait just as clearly. Timing the apology doesn't erase the need for one, it just proves how calculated the silence really was. And calculated silence is still a choice, made deliberately. Every single day it continued. Don't spend your energy trying to rush them into deciding. That's exactly what they're counting on. Someone getting impatient enough to demand a public stance before they're ready to give one safely. Let them keep watching. The longer they wait, the more obvious it becomes to everyone else exactly what kind of decision they were actually making the whole time. Number 15. Karma won't spare anyone, and this is only the beginning. Here's the truth they're not ready to hear yet, chosen one. What you're watching right now, the sudden defense, the apologies, the loud public loyalty, that's not the end of this story. That's the opening move. Karma doesn't settle a debt with one gesture. It doesn't call it even because someone finally posted something nice or corrected one rumor in one conversation. What's happening now is just the first payment on something a lot bigger, and every single one of them knows it, even if they'd never say it out loud. The ones who started it are still exposed. The ones who stayed silent are still remembered. The ones who are defending you now out of fear are still going to be tested again the next time it's inconvenient to stand beside you. And how they handle that next test is going to matter a lot more than how loud they're being right now, while the pressure is fresh. Karma isn't finished with any of them. It's just getting started. The same patient, unhurried way it always operates, taking exactly as long as it needs to, and not a second less. There will be another moment, chosen one, further down the road, where standing beside you costs something again. A moment where it's no longer convenient, no longer safe, no longer the popular position to hold. That moment is the real test. Everything happening right now, all of it, is just the warm-up round, and every one of them knows, somewhere underneath the loud public loyalty, that the real test hasn't even arrived yet. You don't have to chase any of it. You don't have to keep score out loud or remind anyone what they did. You just have to keep doing what you've been doing this whole time. Staying honest, staying consistent, staying exactly who you are, regardless of who's currently pretending to be on your side. That consistency is the thing that got you here, and it's the thing that's going to carry you through whatever comes next, because their time is up, and karma has never once been in the business of sparing anyone who thought they'd gotten away clean. So let them defend you now. Let them apologize, correct the record, post the kind words. None of it erases what already happened, and none of it needs to. You already survived the part where they were against you. This next part, the part where they're scared, the part where the debt comes due, that's not your fight to finish. That one belongs to karma, and karma doesn't miss. Wherever you are right now, chosen one, watching this, feeling every word of it land somewhere true, remember this. You never needed them to flip. You never needed the apology, the correction, the sudden loyalty. You needed to survive long enough to watch the truth do what it always does eventually, on its own timeline, without asking your permission and without needing your help. And you did. You're still here. That was always the actual victory, long before any of them ever said your name with anything close to respect. If this hit something real in you, drop a 77 in the comments one more time and let the next chosen one who needs this find it. And if this message meant something to you, the super thanks button is right there on your screen. It keeps this mission moving forward for the next person who needs to hear their name defended by the truth instead of by fear. Thanks for watching, chosen one. We'll see you in the next one. Take care and goodbye.